complain about the cost of goods, cost of services, inflation this, egg prices that, gas prices this. Totally fine with helping support her and her racist bigotry bullshit, but yet will complain that we're feeding kids in school or funding for healthcare or making sure that Medicare and Medicaid don't get cut. So when we say that our nation, was it 700? Yeah, $752,000 she has raised. For what? She raised money for what? And of course they dox the person who filmed her, right? Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I don't want to battle with you. That makes perfect sense, right? So the person who filmed her has been doxxed. This particular person has raised $750 million. Again, for what? Think about that as we kind of navigate through the daily, and it's beyond weird. And I can't say it's everybody that's MAGA because there are plenty of racists on the left as well. But there's no cause for her raising money. No, I guess what I'm asking is like, what is she raising it for, right? What is she raising the money for? Like what? Because because I'm a racist bigot and my life has been ruined because I'm a racist bigot, and now I need you guys to 752,000. Did I say million? Yeah, 752,000. Sorry. She felt threatened. Yeah, because she paid to protect. She said to protect her family. Relocation because of harassment. Yeah, of course. Obviously, those are the things that she's raising money for. But can you imagine those people giving her money? The same people. You know, I would imagine. Can you imagine sitting down across the table from someone? See, I understand that you donated to this woman who said the N-word in a public playground to a 5-year-old boy, right? Yeah, I did. Curious, would you be willing to, how much did you donate? $25. Okay, would you be willing to give $25 to 5 homeless kids so that they can eat lunch? Yeah, no. Or would you be willing to tax the rich so that more homeless children could eat lunch? Yeah, no. Are you cool with cutting Head Start programs so preschool-age kids don't get a Head Start? Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. You cool with cutting Medicaid, Medicare? Yeah, absolutely, because of waste, fraud, and abuse. Like, it can fucking make sense, right? It's just, anyway, I wanted to touch on that because I know you all how disgusting that makes all of us feel. But, okay, back to the news. We'll get into this in a bit. Actually, why don't we do some of these now? Because I was thinking about this and I just kind of compiled some like greatest hits from some of the thing that the MAGA movement and, our friends on the right have said. We'll be keeping our eyes peeled for the any decisions made in the Vatican in regards to whether or not there's been a pope chosen today. 2 votes in the morning. The way it works is there could be 2 votes in the morning and then 2 votes in the afternoon. And then if no decisions are made, then they start the process over again the next day. Okay. Let me see if I can find this. All right. So these are just some examples of some of the things that our friends on the right have talked about, MAGA in particular, that have talked about over the years. These are reminders. Then I'm going to kind of lean in a little bit more to some of the conspiracy theories. I've got some sound from a flat earther that I want to play because I kind of love flat earthers. I just really enjoy their confidence in discussing the dish. Okay. Conspiracy theories and alternate realities. Okay. I'm going to start there and I'm going to show you guys this. You may have seen this before. This is this conspiracy chart that I've shown here on the live before. I know it's a little bit hard to read, but if you search conspiracy chart, this is interactive. And they're all, the further up, so I've got it up here. So the further, you start at the bottom and it talks about, so the green circle here. I'll be reading these descriptions as we go up. Things that actually happened, okay? Example, some of the items in the green category are NSA, National Security Agency mass surveillance, Watergate, FBI spying on MLK, Tuskegee experiment, Free Britney. Big oil pushed climate disinformation. We know that happened. Okay. So the idea behind this, and the people that have studied it have said, the further up the scale you go, the more likely you are to believe everything in the category. So it goes from things that actually happened to the blue, which is we have questions. We have questions about, this is the speculation line. You're crossing the speculation line, leaving reality gone, and then the anti-Semitic point of no return. And we'll get there. So we have questions about things like Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance. Epstein didn't unalive himself. Area 51, UFOs, JFK assassination, Charles Manson, we live in a simulation. Now, if you go to the website, literally just type conspiracychart.com, and I'll make sure it's in the Discord. Actually, I'll do that right now. Okay. And this goes back to the things that I was discussing as far as MAGA's weird, right? So everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. I think this is a cool thing, so let's get this out to the FYP. All right. So as we go through the list, we're into the category now blue. We've passed now, we're leaving reality. So this is unequivocally false, this category right here. Unequivocally false, but mostly harmless. Okay? Greta Thunberg is a time traveler. There are people in this world who believe that Greta, the awesome climate activist, they believe she's a time traveler. Stevie Wonder isn't blind. Cryptids. If you watch The Last of Us on HBO or Max, you'll know what cryptids are. And again, these are interactives. The Titanic never sank, for example. Hold on, let me do this. The Titanic never sank, for example. Michael Jackson, still alive. Ted Cruz is the Zodiac unaliver. This is where flat earthers reside. So I'm going to quickly just move off of that, and I want you to listen to a flat earther because, like I said, it's one of my favorite things to do.
On his setting right now in Eastern Europe.
You have to look at the model of the flat earth. The conception of the flat earth is that it is a disk surrounded by an ice wall, right? So all the seas are held in on this disk by an ice wall. And there's photographs of these ice walls in Antarctica. You see these ships parked next to this humongous, like hundreds of feet high ice wall. There's a guy who just went over it. He was in a kayak. And he went in on one of the glacial streams melting off Antarctica, and he's going off. He's plunging, right? One of these adrenaline junkies. Really cool. But it demonstrates the size of this ice wall. And the center of the Earth is the North Pole. It's not the top of the Earth. It's the center. Like if you have a flat disk with an ice wall, the center of the Earth, and coming down from that, there's like, then you wouldn't be able to circumnavigate. Yeah, circumnavigation can happen on a circle,
right?
Or it can happen on a sphere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Circumnavigation is not a proof of a sphere.
No.
It's just proof that you can go around in a circle, and you can go around in a circle.
Okay, so again, the flat Earth conspiracy theorists, mostly harmless. They sound ridiculous, but it's mostly harmless. So also in the pink category, again, unequivocally false, but mostly harmless, Elvis lives. For example, Tupac is still alive and living in Serbia. That one I had never heard before. All right, now we're moving up. Okay, we're now reality denial. We're crossing into the fact that people are denying reality. And we see this a lot with our friends on the right. And again, the further up this list you go, the people who've built this list, the people who've talked about this, the further up you go, the more likely you are to believe these, what we all consider just wild fucking shit. But the more likely you are to believe most everything in the category. And then you'll start to hear some things that you're like, oh yeah, they believe that. Oh yeah, they believe that too. Okay. Everybody keep tapping and sharing. Don't forget the gift and gold. Join our team. Please subscribe. Dangerous to yourself and others. Okay. 5G is toxic. People are convinced of that. That C-19 was a bio weapon. And I've got some reporting. I want to talk about that in just a minute about how China has said, okay, US, you want to do this kind of shit? We're going to tell you what we think. That Joe Biden was a robot. Chemtrails, like when a plane flies overhead, Conspiracy theorists believe that is when you see the exhaust or whatever coming from the jet engines, that those are, whatever it might be, dumping all kinds of shit into seeding the clouds and whatever it might be. Ancient giant trees. The moon landing was fake. That ivermectin cures COVID. That global warming is a hoax. That there are feral people who live in forests. Essential oils cure all illnesses. Plandemic. Vaccines have microchips. F1 in the chat, please. Antifa did January 6th. Right? That's all in one category. This category, dangerous to yourself and others. How many of those things that I just mentioned are the same kind of talking points that we hear from the right? U.S. presidential election was stolen. It was not. The moon landing was fake. I think I said that one. Let's see. Phantom time, soy boys, right? Again, all these kinds of things, right? That soy turns men beta. And then we get up into the really dangerous shit. So this is categorized right here. World ruled by, and look at the line. It's the anti-Semitic point of no return. You'll hear a lot of similarities that are all rooted in anti-Semitism, okay? Yeah, Hollow Earth, exactly. Hollow Earth is up here, okay? World ruled by supreme shadow elite promotes hatred and violence towards marginalized groups, okay? Q. Start with that one. The deep state. Flat Earth is here, but I did some follow-up on this, and they're in denial about the Earth being flat, but I don't see it as anti-Semitic. I see it more as dangerous to one's self, but really harmless to others, but they categorize it in a different way. What they say about it is that the world's oldest conspiracy theory is hot again. There's reporting from the Daily Beast, and they kind of talk about it a little bit. I'll get back to that in a minute. Illuminati. Ironically, the papal conclave is now sequestered. Reptilian overlords. HCOS denial. Adrenochrome, which would, again, that's the whole Pizzagate thing, which is also on this list. The adrenochrome from aborted fetuses that the Democratic cabal is using to inject and thus sustain life for members of the Democratic cabal. Bill Gates behind depopulation. Hollywood is turning your kids gay. Okay? Jewish space lasers. George Floyd crisis actor. George Soros. Sacred satanic rituals. The New World Order. Trans agenda. Yahtzees on the moon. Great replacement theory. So you can see how these are obviously incredibly dangerous, and then the bulk of them are rooted in anti-Semitism. So this is, again, I put this link in our Discord, so if anybody wants to, it's entirely interactive. The things that they say about the troubling obsession with George Soros, this is reporting from Forbes. You can look into all these. Rothschild Central Bank, Sandy Hook, fake, right? So the conspiracy theorists are crazy. Again, the bottom of the list, things that actually happened: Tuskegee experiment, Watergate, FBI spotted MLK. No conspiracy. Moving up the list, we have questions: Area 51, UFOs, Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance, then unequivocally false, but mostly harmless. Avril Lavigne replaced. Greta Thunberg's a time traveler. Stevie Wonder isn't blind. Elvis lives. Thank you very much. Dangerous to yourself and others. Vaccines have microchips. Plandemic. Wayfair trafficking. I don't remember what that one is. What's that one? Wayfair trafficking conspiracy. What is this? I'm curious about this one now. A Wayfair child trafficking conspiracy is flourishing on TikTok despite it being completely false. Wayfair started trending on Twitter. One would have been forgiven to assuming the hashtag was started by a medium to high-end household decor enthusiast. Yet the roots of the trend were much darker than that. In fact, it alluded to a conspiracy theory which began on Reddit or subreddit, speculating that Wayfair was covertly using its cabinets as shipping containers for a secret child trafficking ring. Okay. Again, dangerous to yourself and to others. Yeah, certainly. And then the creme de la creme of the conspiracy theory chart would be the anti-Semitic point of return, world ruled by supreme shadow elites promoting hatred and violence towards marginalized groups, etc. And the items on that list. Now, think about the conversations that you've either seen, when Jordan Klepper or the Good Liars are out at, Trump rallies, or some of the people that we speak to in this space or right-wing lies. Right-wing lives, I should say. You can hear them talking about these things, like the trans agenda, Pizzagate, right? There's still people that believe it. And a lot of that is connected to Q, which Q is completely anti-Semitic. So it's like, exactly, we didn't start the fire. So I wanted to share this just because it's still something that we need to make sure that we're keeping an eye on. And as you guys know, we don't do debates in this space much anymore by design. But I think it's still something that we should be at least be willing to discuss when it pops up. So like I said, this is in the Discord, and our mods will put it in the main Discord chat. But it's pretty it's pretty crazy shit. Okay. Let's go back to our topic of the day, because MAGA is weird. And I think this is all, I don't know if I would classify this as like a conspiracy theory. I would say it's more delusional that many members of our country see. So somebody just asked, do you guys want to know what this is? Oh, so hold on a second. The Denver International Airport, somebody had asked about that because this is on the list. Somebody in the mod chat had just asked about it. The Denver International Airport, we have questions about. This is reporting from the Denver Post, the definitive guide to the Denver International Airport's biggest conspiracy theory. Yahtzee runways, remote locations, underground bunkers, aliens, and artistic depictions of the apocalypse. Sinister sculptures in secret bunkers, swastika-shaped runways, and murals that point to a new world order takeover or an alien invasion. Conspiracy theories about the Denver International Airport have soared for more than 2 decades, owing to the airport's mix of bold public art, unusual architecture, infamous construction problems, and an internet-fueled cycle of self-feeding paranoia. They predate even the airport's 1995 debut, but Jesse Ventura helped popularize them with a 2012 episode of the TV show Conspiracy Theory, and dozens of media outlets from ABC News to the Science Channel continue to report them on an annual basis. We have a CEO who really, this is according to Heath Montgomery. That's irrelevant. Anyway, that's the story behind the Denver airport. And again, that is in the, we have questions. So do we though? Like what questions do we have? We don't have questions. They have questions. Okay. I want to address something that's kind of sparked a lot of misinformation, quite frankly. There was a letter sent by Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Education, to Harvard University, addressing some of the issues that the Trump administration says the university has. And there's been this leak all over the internet, and I've seen a lot of creators jump on this bandwagon, that the Department of Education responded to her with the red pen, crossing out grammatical errors, things like that. That story is not true. There was someone on the interwebs that did it, but it did not come from Harvard. An image you may have seen claims to show Education Secretary Linda McMahon's letter to Harvard ending grants to the university marked up by Harvard for spelling and grammar errors. It's not real. McMahon did indeed post a letter claiming Harvard is violating federal law and letting the university know it would no longer get federal grants. The letter later resurfaced on social media, allegedly showing how Harvard reposted the letter after marking it up in red for spelling and grammar mistakes. The website Snopes did some digging and discovered the corrected version did not come from Harvard, but rather a random user on X. I wanted so desperately to believe that, and this is the danger of conspiracy theories. This is the danger of, I know, I wish it was true as well. I know. We all wanted it to be true. That's the danger of the conspiracy theories, right? And that's the danger of almost a confirmation bias, because we were convinced that it would be something. There were still, I read through it, and there are still all kinds of grammatical errors and references, but Harvard didn't do it. So I just thought it was kind of funny that story exploded. But anyway, so that story, sadly not true. Okay, that trade deal, again, I wanted to talk about that. the rumor or the seed that was planted by the Trump administration and talked about this major deal. President Trump said he would make a significant trade announcement this morning with the United Kingdom, yet another sign of some possible relief from historically big high tariffs that have threatened serious damage to the U.S. and global economies. Big news conference, he posted this yesterday, so big news conference today at 10 a.m. in the Oval Office concerning a major trade deal with representatives of a big and highly respected country, the first of many. Trump said the deal with the UK would be substantial. The agreement with the United Kingdom is a full and comprehensive one that will cement the relationship between the US and the UK for many years to come. Trump said in a subsequent post, because of our long history and allegiance together, it is a great honor to have the United Kingdom as our first announcement. Many other deals which are in serious stages of negotiation to follow. This should be a very big and exciting day for the United States of America and the United Kingdom, he said in a separate message. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he will make a statement about the outcome of trade talks with the U.S. later today. Speaking at a conference in London, he said talks with the U.S. have been ongoing, and you'll hear more from me about that later today. So that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if there's any contradiction in what Trump has to say and what Keir Starmer has to say. I'm sure Erica will check in later and we'll ask her about that. Trump administration has previously suggested it is in active negotiations with India, the UK, South Korea, and Japan. Trump's top trade advisor, Peter Navarro, told CNN Tuesday that he suspected the UK may be the first country to sign a trade agreement with the US. Quote, I don't know if it's going to be the UK first or India first. We got a little twist in the India story, so that might slow things down there. But I can assure the American people that there will be deals, and they will be very good deals for the American people, Navarro said. Well, we're now at a point. Whether this deal happens today, though, we're now at that point that we've been warning people about. That global economists have been warning people about inbound ships arriving to ports of call in our country with goods. So I'll play this sound for you. There's reporting from the Port of Los Angeles, and this is kind of disturbing. Hold on a second. Let me just go back and do this again. Stand by, friends. This is really good sound. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Appreciate y'all. Here we go. What? That's weird. Why does that not want to play? Hold on a second. Let me try that again. Hang on one second. Anyway, I'll paraphrase. There are ships. The Port of Los Angeles, which is the biggest receiving ship in the U.S., is starting to receive inbound shipments from China in particular, and they are empty. Typically speaking, they're talking about truck drivers are taking between 2 and 4 deliveries per day. That might be cut in half. Longshoremen are no longer going to be given overtime. In fact, many cases, many ships are being laid off. So we're going to start to see that. So the economic impact of tariffs are about to hit. I'm sorry I can't play that sound because I think that kind of painted the picture, but we know what's going to happen. So we're here, right? We have arrived at that particular point. We know that the stock market is going to continue to be volatile. We know that consumer prices are about to go up. We know that we talked about small businesses yesterday, and I wanted just to remind people again, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. for our live, the entire live tomorrow will be dedicated to small businesses, to small business owners, which I firmly believe the entrepreneurial capitalism is the lifeblood of our economy. So we'll be highlighting small businesses. So if you have a small business that you want to promote, or if you know of one, or if you work with one, or if you have an idea about a small business, please use our space tomorrow as free advertising. And one of our people in our chat highlighted this because it's really, really true. Thank you, Chad, for stating this. Listen, we know that corporate capitalists, economic narcissists, are going to use this opportunity to raise prices on everything, whether or not tariffs affect the goods and services that they provide. So that's something that, in my opinion, is criminal. We discussed heartburn. We discussed transfer of wealth during numerous. We've had these discussions. We talk about the massive transfer of wealth during COVID, how money does not circulate in our capitalism. We talk about people enriching themselves, and keep in mind, Kamala Harris had a desire to introduce price gouging legislation so that corporations couldn't do what they have been doing. And so we're here now, right? So we're at this spot where, remember there was that reporting that Amazon wanted to put the increase in costs on their goods and services. They wanted to let the American public know that, hey, this isn't us. This is the Trump tariffs. And we don't know what happened there. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened with their negotiations. They're behind the scenes negotiations between Bezos and twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted felon. We don't know what happened there. But here we are. So corporations are, in a strange way, are going to be justified in raising their prices artificially in many cases, because we know that tariffs are paid for by the consumer. We know that. So I think it's safe to say that corporations are not going to eat the cost. They may eat some, sure. They may eat some because they may be concerned about losing market share. But by and large, no. They're going to pass that cost on to you and to me and to everybody else. We've already seen the impact, and we're really going to start to see the impact now because imported goods are now arriving. And I played that sound yesterday. Let me see if I can find it. This heroic woman who is a small business owner, and she talked specifically about the impact that this is going to have on her business. I can't play that for some reason. I don't know why. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Hang on one second. If I can't play these things today, it's going to be a short show. I don't know what happened, though. Hold on. Stand by. Getting closer. Getting closer. We're almost there. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. I appreciate you. All right. This. Verified. Yep, it's me. Nope, that's not me. This is, though. You know the verification steps that you have to get? It's just such a drag. Yes, I know it's me. Uh-huh. I know it's me. Thank you. Okay. Well, I don't know how we're going to manage this today, guys. I'll figure it out. I can fill. All right. So let's do this. Since we were just discussing the tariff component, right? That picture. What is the picture? That picture is somebody posted on Twitter. This is their perception of Donald Trump. That's what they think. So Trump, the president has claimed. Sorry, I'm a little distracted now. Namaste. Trump has claimed that America will save trillions by not trading goods. His words. Okay.
And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. It's a lot. But they want to negotiate. And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. It's a lot. But they want to negotiate.
By not trading, we're saving trillions of dollars. What? I am fucking Zen and Anachronistic. Yes, thank you for asking. But we're not. No, that's not how global trade works, my guy. And don't forget, there was this little thing that he said the other day.
I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
He still wants people to think that, and his supporters will think that. Also, I've got this interesting little sound that I wanted to remind people of because, again, the conspiracy theory world that exists around us. Let me do this first. Hold on. Do I have it? I do. So this is Joe Neguse. And this, I'm going to have to kind of redirect the show a little bit, guys, until I can figure this out. But I got you. Don't worry. Have faith. I got you. Harriet Hageman, we played some sound from her yesterday, and I'll kind of get back to this. But Joe Neguse, who definitely has a future in Democratic leadership within the Democratic Party, who I love, was asked a question to his Republican colleague Harriet Hageman about some of the statements that she has made about the Gulf of Mexico. So I will play that sound for you now because it's really, really. I'm not sure if it's disturbing is the word that I would use. Yeah, I guess it's disturbing, but it's kind of on brand, and I think that's the worst part. Again, everybody keep tapping and clapping, sharing, caring, and don't forget about the gifting goal today. Please consider subscribing if you haven't yet joined our team. Please join our team. Okay, let me let this reset. I don't want to refresh it because then I'll have to lose the access. For some reason, my password reset, and I don't know why. So I had the clips that I had saved for you is now asking for a password. I reset it, but here we go. This is Joe Neguse.
You're saying that there are people at your town halls who are demanding that you rename the Gulf of Mexico?
I think it's across the entire board.
Has that come up at any of your town halls?
Actually, it has.
It has?
Yes, and it's also come up in the meetings
that I've had. The people of Wyoming were demanding that you
Remember, she is the representative, the at-large representative from the state of Wyoming. And the question he asked her is that the people in Wyoming who are about as far away from the Gulf of Mexico that you can get are bringing this up.
Name the Gulf of Mexico?
You use the word demand.
Oh, asking.
Very few people come to me and demand anything.
Well, I guess
what people say is that they want us to implement the agenda that Donald Trump ran on.
And that includes renaming the Gulf of Mexico?
Because it has to do with pride in America and what America stands
Representative,
for.
I would just simply say.
Well, you can argue with me.
It's not about an argument. I would love to attend one of the.
I would welcome you to attend one of my town halls.
I am asking you an honest question, and. You're welcome to answer it any way you'd like. You're telling me and this committee that at one of your town halls,
I have said at my town halls
let me finish my question.
At town halls and my meetings,
you'll have an opportunity to answer. Let
me
finish my question. You've held 10 town halls across Wyoming.
Yes.
And at those town halls, Wyoming residents, constituents have said to you, "I would like you to rename the Gulf of Mexico." Has that happened?
Yes.
That has happened.
And remember, do I have this as a backup? Do I have this? Because remember what she said yesterday in regards to the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this. I'll do my best here for you. But let's see if I can find it, because this will close the loop on that whole conversation. Harriet Hageman, again, the at-large representative from the state of Wyoming, expecting other members of the same committee that she serves on to believe that Wyoming voters are so concerned about the Gulf of Mexico that she is now their hero. And she's the same person. I can't play it. She's the same person that said that the Mexican government is dumping trash and garbage into the Gulf of Mexico near San Diego. And the Gulf of Mexico is nowhere near San Diego. Anyway, okay. Now, let's talk about more conspiracies. I'm not going to say this is even a conspiracy. I'm just going to say that this is just an interesting story now, because we know that the Trump administration is planning a military parade, a 4-mile-long military parade in the District of Columbia on June 14th, which is Flag Day, but it also happens to be the president's birthday. Trump defends the high price tag for his military parade and says it's peanuts compared to the value. And this is some of the sound.
Sir, which obviously the biggest issue for voters. We got new numbers today, better than expected job numbers.
Much better.
At the same time, the economy shrank in the first quarter. You've been arguing all week that this is President Biden's economy. Is this now your economy, sir?
Well, I think certain aspects of it are. Costs are. I was able to get down the costs, but even that, it takes a while to get them down, but we got them down good. We lost $5 to $6 billion a day with Biden, $5 to $6 billion. And I've got that down to a great number right now in a record time. You know, we're talking about 100 days. But just think of what that is. $5 billion a day we're losing on trade. And we were very tough with China, as you know. We put 145% tariff on. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. And we've essentially cut off trade relationships by putting that much of a tariff on. And that's okay. We've gone cold turkey. That means that we're not losing. You know, we lost $1 trillion to China. $1 trillion. That means we're not losing $1 trillion when we go cold turkey because we're not doing business with them right now. And they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal very badly. We'll see how that all turns out, but it's got to be a fair deal.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now. And I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy because he's done a terrible job. He did a terrible job on everything.
I said this a little bit yesterday. It just makes me laugh. For the first time, right, it's an acknowledgement that the economy is bad and about to get worse, right? The good parts are mine, the bad parts are Joe's. It's the first time acknowledging that there are elements that are bad as opposed to the bragging about how great things are.
From his auto pen, which I'm sure he knew nothing about some of the things he was supposedly signing.
But, sir, you acknowledge when you announced your tariffs, for example, the stock market dropped. It's been volatile. It has since gone up.
It is,
do you take responsibility for that? Yeah. Do you take responsibility when it drops?
Ultimately, I take responsibility for everything, but I've only just been here for a little more than 3 months. But the stock market, look at what's happened in the last short period of time. Didn't it have 9 or 10 days in a row or 11 days where it's gone up? And the tariffs have just started kicking in.
Ha! We know.
And we're doing really well psychologically. I mean, the fake news was giving me such press on the tariffs. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We're going to be a very rich country.
So let's talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week. Got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
When you say they could have $3 instead of $30, are you saying Americans could see empty store shelves?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't need to have.
Fajado con Carlos y fajado con nada de pinga. Son todos esos locos privados. El cangre da que va. Dios mío, pero esta gente se van todos los días, bro.
Andas pasillando, hacer. La batalla tuya se va a prender durísimo, hacer. Se va a poner buena esa batalla.
¿Qué dice esa mujer abajo? Notificación, mira ahí que yo estoy manejando.
Hacer es que Mahoma pone un fondo de eso de playa que tú no puedes leer, hacer la letra blanca y ese fondo blanco no puedes leer.